In the name of the Father, of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. In the name of goodness and love and broken community. In the name of meaning and feeling, and I hope you don't screw me. In the name of darkness and light and ungraspable twilight. In the name of mealtimes and sharing and caring by firelight. In the name of action and peace and human redemption. In the name of eating and drinking and table confession. In the name of sadness, regrets, and holy obsession, the holy name of anger, the spirit of aggression. In the name of forgive and forget, and I hope I get over this. In the name of beauty and beaten and broken down daily. In the name of seeing our creeds and believing in maybe. We gather here, a table of strangers, to speak of our hopeland and talk of our danger, to make sense of our thinking, to authenticate lives, to humanize feeling and stop telling lies. In the name of philosophy, theology, and who gives a damn. In the name of employment and study and finding new family. In the name of our passion, our loving and indecent obsessions. In the name of prayer and of worship and demon possession. In the name of solitude and quiet and holy reflection. In the name of the lost and the lonely and the without direction. In the name of efficiency, stupidity, and the wholly ineffectual. In the name of the straight, the queer, and the sometimes bisexual. In the name of Mary and Jesus and the mostly silent Joseph. In the name of speaking to ourselves, saying this is more than I can cope with. In the name of touch-up and breakdown and weeping. In the name of therapy and Prozac and full-hearted breathing. In the name of sadness and madness and years since I've smiled. In the name of the unknown, the alien, and the holy in exile. In the name of goodness and kindness and intentionality. In the name of harbor and shelter and family.
Sitting down so comfortably on an old and broken rocking chair, I closed my eyes, I felt the earth and breathed. I yearn for home. I yearn for home. I yearn for home to gather me. I gather me. I heard that elves have ships on which to sail away across the morning waters to their grey havens fair and far removed from here. I wonder if all my longings they could shape me out a ship of hopes to carry me on these seas of homeward yearning. I yearn for home. I yearn for home. I yearn for home to gather me. I gather me.
The reassurance. About 10 days or so after we saw you dead, You came back in a dream. I'm all right now, you said. And it was you, although you were fleshed out again. You hugged us all round then, and gave your welcoming beam. How like you to be so kind, seeking to reassure. And yes, how like my mind to make itself secure. She cut the reassurance by Tom Gunn out of a newspaper after he died, and she keeps it folded in his wallet in the drawer, and says, because I had that dream. I never saw him dead, or after fleshed out again. Instead, he was a spy, a spook on a secret mission. That was why she was learning Russian. How like anyone to make themselves secure. She left church when her father died. She was 17. She returned when my father died. I was 7. I heard the story of how he died for the first time 8 years later. When the lady that I saw at school because I hid in the toilets at lunchtime asked how he died, I didn't know. She didn't tell us about it, and we didn't want to see her tears, so we didn't ask. And when they asked us on the weekend away to shout and scream and throw rocks at the world, at God, I couldn't do it. I am not angry, I said. But I was not angry and angry. And I knew it then and didn't know it then. And definitely couldn't say it. Not to them and certainly not to her. And I know it now and I don't know it. And I still can't say it. She reads everything I write, so I hide behind men who say it, so I don't have to face my ghosts.
I was thinking about the nature of the weekend and how it's all centered around dealing with our loss and our lack and our darkness and our ghosts. And I was reminded of a very similar parable that Jesus told about the lost sheep. Now, the conventional interpretation is that it's a narrative, that endorses evangelism. It's a narrative that endorses the consumption of the other. However, if we read this directly from the Hebrew, there are subtle nuances that we tend to miss because we're Westerners. And one of the major ones is right at the beginning of the parable, we actually are already introduced to a lack, a trauma, right? When Jesus starts the parable and he says, suppose one of you have 100 sheep and you lose one. Right there, within the first few words, we're already met with a trauma because Hebrews were quite big on numerology. Numbers had meanings. And so 100 meant everything was fine, everything was complete, everything was holy, as it should be, right? And then he says, well, but suppose one of you do this. Now, in the ancient world, you never ever blamed someone for losing an object, right? So if I borrowed your car and I lost it, you and I would never ever say that I lost your car, right? It's all about saving face. You would always say, well, hey, the car got lost itself, as cars always do. And so when Jesus starts this parable with suppose one of you, he's already attacking the ideology of gain, right? Again, which is the conventional interpretation, right? So, right in the very beginning of the first few words, we already have another trauma, another lack, another loss, saying that, listen, your belief system that you think that is upholding you is the very thing that you actually need to lose. Now, you fast forward, and the narrative goes that one of the sheep gets lost. Now, very interestingly, that word sheep doesn't actually mean sheep or just sheep in Hebrew. It actually means to journey. Now, there's a massive problem and disconnect in this story because the parable was a Jewish commentary on Ezekiel 37. Okay, so Ezekiel 37 was about God saying, I am the great shepherd and you are my sheep. So again, there's another massive trauma, disconnect. God is basically disconnecting through Jesus himself from Israel as being the only select few, right? So we already have, before even the end of the parable, we already have 3 lacks, 3 losses, 3 traumas, right? And so this is a parable not of gaining. This is a parable of losing. So when he says that suppose one of you get lost, right? What he's essentially saying is you need to get lost. You need to actually deal with your lack because there's 99 of you who aren't journeying, right? Because that's what the Hebrew word means, to journey. You're not being who you're meant to be. So we're told in churches and in a capitalist society that, you need more. You need to consume more to be more. However, Jesus actually upsets that whole dynamic. And he says we need to deal with our lost. Basically what he was saying is go get lost. And here's the power behind what he's saying is because when we get lost, when we deal with our loss, when we deal with our lack, that's when we can allow Jesus to come and find us.
This is just a time where we can, in quiet, think about the weekend and think about what's come to the surface for us. But there'll be an opportunity for anybody who wants to share something to speak. And Katharine will have a microphone, so you just put your hand up and the microphone will come to you and you can share. And so either we'll sit in silence for, 10 or 15 minutes and just reflect. But hopefully some of you will want to bring something to the rest of us, and feel free to do that.
I'd like to thank the Dutch group for taking the trouble to come to be with us. It gives our little group an internationalist feeling, which I treasure. I also want to thank the young people from the SEM for coming, because we are mostly an older group and it is so good to have their input. So thank you both very much.
Namaste. No one. And for that, I am grateful. Thank you.